So if you've played the original Resident Evil 4 or the new remake, you know that regenerators could be the main enemy of the game. Why? Stay with me, I'm gonna tell you. Regenerators, we also know them as cadavers, God I hope I'm pronouncing it right, or the corpses, are the actual first plaga zombies in the franchise, very much like the G and the C virus that can bring back the dead, which only a few of the BOWs in this franchise have this ability. These creatures are unlike anything else in the game, and they have a way of getting under your skin. So, what makes these bastards so terrifying? Okay, first of all, imagine you're on a mission to save someone important, in a place that could be one of the most unsafe places in this ungodly imaginary universe, and while you're trying to find your way and also find some information along the way in a lab, you try your best to obtain a keycard as well. You might see and read some stuff that no ordinary man can explain. Whether you read these information or not, you can feel it deep within your bones, a chill, telling you that something is not right. And after obtaining the said keycard, you try to get out of that lab, boom! A seemingly unkillable monster with the worst breathing noises starts following you. You don't know what to do. You run, fight, stay in the room, get out. That's enough for me to be willing to unsubscribe from life. Their appearance is just so unsettling. And believe me, we have seen some unsettling shit in the Resident Evil lore. Nemesis, the Ooze, etc. But none of those creatures get introduced like these things. And after a while, you might realize that whatever you do, they just keep coming back. They have no weapons as well, unlike Nemesis, who's like an angry bulldozer following you around. These things just creep towards you casually. They are these long, lanky creatures with pale skin and elongated limbs. They seem like they belong in a graveyard for sure, but somehow you as the player are stuck with them. Their faces are twisted and deformed with sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. It will surely make you think about how their turning process from normal people, or at least not like the result normal people, to what they are now and how it happened. Do we even need anything more than this? Well, if we do, here we go. There's that iconic breathing sound they make. It's like nothing else we see in the game and adds to the overall creepy factor. Due to their healing abilities, they need a lot of oxygen to go around with, hence the freaky breathing noises. The sounds that they make are downright nightmare fuel. No other creature in these games could even start to compare with how fast you want to get away from them. Like with the Nemesis and your first encounter, you're just worried that he'll tear you to pieces. But with regenerators, it's a different story. It feels like you're being followed by an inescapable nightmare that's there only by mistake, until that is you figure out how to kill them. In the horror video game industry, the impact of something somewhat unkillable following you has always been seen. In the Resident Evil 3, Alien Isolation, Outlast games, etc. We could say that these creatures somewhat feel similar to the Evil Rider from the first Outlast game. The gameplay that these creatures have and how it makes you shiver is notably different from, for example, Mr. X and how it was designed. Mr. X had a mission to get rid of you, but these things were still in the trial phases, and just when their creator wasn't ready, something went wrong. The horror behind something unkillable chasing you is also something we see in movies and series a lot. The inevitable feeling of the said monster finding you and getting rid of you in the most bizarre ways. Yes, I know, it can be much more difficult if you have nothing to defend yourself with. But even in this case that you're an agent with a ton of experience, the fact that you don't know how to get rid of them properly from their first appearance is enough to give the player and the character trauma. Being chased is literally the most common dream theme, Leslie Ellis. So it clearly must be representing something quite universal. Those dreams are related to heightened anxiety in waking life. Although in the case of games and movies, the things that are chasing you usually end up being why you feel anxious in the first place. According to how our emotions spike up when we face regenerators, I think it's safe to say developers did their homework before putting something so unsettling and relentless in the Resident Evil 4. Usually the monster following you can be pretty straightforward, but that's not the case with these things. The fear of the unknown will always be something terrifying to human beings. And it's not just their appearance that makes them so scary. Regenerators move in this slow, deliberate way, like they're just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Exactly like how prey and predator works in the wilderness. And when they do, They're fast as fuck, boy, you know? They'll chase you down and attack you with their long claws, and it's incredibly difficult to avoid them, unless you have Leon's magical knife. But I believe the most terrifying thing about the regenerators is their ability to regenerate. Hold on, just listen. I'm not just talking about a scratch or a cut, I'm talking about limbs that have been blown off to bits and pieces. They can regenerate from almost any kind of injury, making them nearly impossible to kill. So imagine you're a guy with a bunch of guns and knives, and suddenly some unkillable thing starts following you anywhere you go. And Leon has faced far worse monsters like Mr. X. But let's be honest, in the case of regenerators, you have the feeling in your guts that something is not just right, especially since you enter the lab and witness the plaga and the poor human test subject frozen in time. You just get tense and you prepare yourself for the worst, and the game doesn't disappoint delivering as well. The way they move and the way you have to fight them is just pure nope. You either use the infrared scope, a shotgun, or just throw a bunch of bombs at them. So basically, unless you try everything you have in your inventory while screaming out of panic or waiting until you get the right weapon, you just have to pray to whatever you believe in that they'll leave you be. You have to shoot these parasites to kill the creature, but you have to do it really quick before it regenerates. The whole process of fighting Regenerator is basically tense and nerve-wracking. The fighting moments with other creatures like Nemesis or Mr. X weren't as intense in my opinion, and neither their introductions were as impactful. They may be fearsome creatures, but at the end of the day, even the music and the change of atmosphere from a Regenerator following you around could be way more dramatic. You're constantly scanning the creature with your scope, and if you miss hitting them, it falls on the ground and ends up following you in a really creepy way, and it might end up attacking you in the most bizarre way. They appear multiple times, and each time they do, it becomes more difficult to fight them. You're constantly on edge, wondering where the next regenerator is going to appear, and you're trying your best to be brave. In conclusion, the regenerators in Resident Evil 4, the original and the remake, are some of the scariest monsters in the entire franchise. Their appearance, movement, and how they represent some of the scariest and yet most common dreams, and the process of taking them down is incredibly tense and nerve-destroying. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe if you haven't, and please share your opinion with me down in the comments below. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye bye!
I can hear the demons call when they do what they do, and now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. I just gotta get through, I just gotta get through. Cause I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can